Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams radio show. I'm Joyce Petrowski, the founder and board president of Rose Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. I'm sure you enjoyed Brian the last couple weeks. I know he talked about that great new law we have here in Arizona with the cryptocurrency ATMs. It's going to be very interesting over the next 6 to 12 months to see how many of those are taken down, that the owner operators decide, hey, I'm not going to have these in my store. My hope is that all of them will go away. But today we are going to talk about job scams meeting senior scams. But before we get into that, don't forget to go to our website, roseadvocacy.org. And you can scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for our newsletters. We do one via email and one in the mail. And you can, all our social media links are there, and you're going to want to click subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of Let's Talk About Scams show. So our guest today, Jay Jones, is a copywriter and globally recognized cybercrime investigator and fraud prevention specialist, best known as the Profiler. After dedicating years to building a career in advertising and achieving his dream role at an ad agency, Jay's trajectory changed dramatically when he was laid off unexpectedly just before the birth of his daughter in December of 2023. Jay is a pioneer in platform accountability and is an internationally known expert on LinkedIn fraud and scam detection, with his work and advocacy featured in NBC News and Yahoo News. His impact is measured by results to date. Jay has personally gotten 32,640 fake jobs and over 7,000 fraudulent profiles removed from LinkedIn, protecting thousands of real professionals and businesses across the globe. So let's welcome Jay.
Hey, Joyce, thank you for the great intro. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining. I think this is going to be a very interesting show with some interesting topics. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. So my work through the Profiler Protection Service is my business where I help real professionals, real companies, and real entrepreneurs and solopreneurs be protected online from job scams or impersonation or any type of intellectual theft. Because it's a rampant problem in this day and age, AI makes it a lot easier for bad actors to do this.
Right.
And so for me, what I'm doing is intervening and stopping this from being as pervasive as it is, so more people are educated and protected.
Right. So, I mean, job scams are running rampant, just like all kinds of scams, right? And
Mhm.
there's a lot of overlap between job scams and senior scams. There are a lot of seniors that are deciding to go back into the workforce for a variety of different
Yeah.
reasons, and
Mhm.
they are most likely going to look online to try to find jobs. Um,
Yeah, because given their age, typically they might have some physical ailments or other
mhm.
limitations, and they're trying to find things that are primarily remote. Gone are the days where the retirement age is 65. It just keeps moving further and further out,
It
and
does.
so as they keep living, which we want them to do, they unfortunately have to go back to work. And what they typically target are remote jobs or things that can keep them homebound, so they can
Hmm.
generate revenue and not compromise their health further. But
Right.
that's where the scams come in with the fake jobs.
Wow. Okay. And in your in the bio that I read, how long? Well, it says you started. It was sometime either December of 2023 or after that you started this.
Yeah, I was laid off on December 4th, 2023. And then I started to look for work immediately that same day. I turned on the green banner on LinkedIn and I got a lot of attention. And prior to that, I had heard rumblings about how bad the job market was, but I thought that that was just maybe just people just spreading rumors and
Right.
fear-based messaging. But then I started to see that all of these messages that I got were from recruiters, quote unquote, but they weren't affiliated with any companies. They were stealing
Uh,
pictures of attractive women and
yeah.
trying to get your information as fast as possible in order to get you into these fake job opportunities. And so my first case, it happened in January of 2024 because I decided that even though they couldn't get me, I didn't want them to get anybody else and take advantage of them. And I felt a responsibility to help people because if I didn't say something, then there would be this big void and they would persist these rampant scams.
Right. Well, that's great that you said something, right? And you continue to say something. I mean, 7,000 fraudulent profiles?
Yeah,
Wow.
3,000 of
That
those alone were fake resume writers for one fake company that I got taken off LinkedIn. That was called 10 Star Resume Limited. And they had been on
uh
LinkedIn for years prior to me.
Wow. Wow. So, do you do you have a good working relationship then with LinkedIn? That they're gonna wanna take a second look at ones that you bring to their attention, I'm guessing, or you've had to really fight tooth and nail to
Tooth and nail.
okay.
And then in the cases that I lay out, because I make a visual case file to show irrefutable proof that these profiles are fake, the content that they have on their profile was stolen, and it's preceded by a real person who posted this content on their profile years ago, if not many years ago. Because these bad actors, they don't know how to communicate well. They rely on scripting through
Mhm.
AI and stealing
AI,
content from
exactly.
established professionals.
Mhm.
And using that, they can pretend to be authentic and trick
Right.
people who have no idea the person they're talking to is a scammer. So
Right.
it's been a tooth and nail fight.
Yeah. So you said, like with the grammar, that's one of the things that, we teach in our presentations is
Mhm.
AI. And we talk about the chat GBT and the generative text AI out there and about how, you used to be able, whether it was a text message, an email, something you got in the mail, um,
Mhm.
you saw this bad grammar and you were like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Right. And now everything is polished because they're just
Yeah.
putting prompts into AI. And it's amazing. I see a lot of the older adults just kind of their eyes
Mhm.
go wide. It's like they can put
Mhm.
prompts into, like write me an email that I want to send to the seniors or older adults, whatever term they use,
Mhm.
in the Midwest or in the East or in the Western part of the United States, whatever geographically. And I want to entice them to donate to a charity. I want to pull at their
Mhm.
heartstrings, and AI within seconds will generate an exact email that they can use. And so I think AI is, while it came out for good, obviously technology scammers have access to it.
Yeah, and that's the unique advantage I have being a copywriter because, I write and I know how to structure sentences, paragraphs, phrases, and things like that. And
Mhm.
so when I see certain things, I can tell when it's AI generated because AI typically use a lot of gerunds, so unintentional add-ons to the end of a sentence to try to make it more powerful or more meaningful. They'll
Okay.
use a lot of M dashes, they'll use a lot of emojis, and a lot
Okay.
of vague content, what I call word salad. So it's a big block of text, but when you actually look at it from an objective perspective, you see that they aren't really saying anything. They're talking about a subject, but they're not a subject matter expert, which
Right.
is a clear difference.
Yeah. Word
And
salad
they
is a
play on
good
the heartstrings.
explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they play on the heartstrings of the elderly because they want to know that they're talking to someone real, that someone is investing time in
Mhm.
speaking with them. Because if you're really trying to be a quick hitter, then that can fall flat. But if you hit them with a large body of text that is tailored to their profile or maybe their history, because there's so much about us online, then
Their
it
likes,
leads to
their
yeah,
hobbies,
yeah,
their
yeah, and it leads them
interests,
to
all of
thinking
that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it leads them to thinking that this is a real person they're talking to. But
Yep.
that's the trouble.
Wow. That's crazy. Um, so that story about almost half of those fraudulent profiles you had taken down came from just one profile had made up like 30 different profiles or 30 different, not 30, 3,000 different, was it jobs or
No, 10 Star Resume Limited was a quote unquote company that offered resume writing services to anybody who was in the job
mm,
market. But the problem
that's what it
was
was.
yeah, they would steal information from real resume writers' profiles.
Mhm.
They would fake certificates. They would steal pictures of attractive women from the realty space or
Yeah.
foreign models, Pakistani actresses, the
So
whole
then
gamut.
through that, they made up 3,000 different profiles.
Correct. Yes.
And
And they were
it
using,
was one company.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
that's
I And I eventually tracked it down, because I was running into the issue of finding the head of the snake, so to speak, because I
Mhm.
knew all the fake profiles, I knew where they were, how they were messaging people, and I would go after them to inform people about how this scam particularly works. But in order to really take it down, you have to show the faces behind it. And so
Yeah.
ultimately, I had to do research and find some paperwork that showed who the owners were of this quote unquote business. And the guy's name
Mhm.
was Nasir Jat. And went on a campaign to make sure that his business was taken down, and it was.
Good, good. That's great. So, have you have you talked to any victims of these types of job scams where they've actually sent money for whatever reason, thinking that they're going to get this job, that they had to pay, fees, they had to pay for equipment,
Mhm.
whatever. Have you talked to any of the victims?
Countless ones. Either people see my cases, they know the work that I do, and they'll reach out to me and share their experiences with me. Two of the most notable cases that I had, it was some months back, but it was the home equipment fee scam. One
Okay.
woman, she was taking a job with Sheen, so she thought as a customer service representative, and she
Okay.
had a job, left that job to take this job, but it was a fake one.
Oh
And
no.
she got a check for about $2,000. And you know how the home desktop scam works, or home equipment scam. I'm sure your audience knows, but a quick rundown is these bad actors will send you a check, say you have to use their approved vendor to buy this equipment, but the vendor is them.
Right.
And they log your payment details through this portal or their own website. And then they'll go as far as give you an official start date. So you're excited, you think your job search is over.
Right.
Then when your start date comes, you hear nothing, you start to get confused and concerned. And then the next call you get is from your bank saying the check bounced. And the second case was a woman who took a job with Epsilon, who so she thought, and it was another instance of the desktop equipment check scam where she was conned out of $2,000.
So she was conned out of 2,000. Did they, like, send her a check and she deposited and started writing checks against it, and then that money was no longer there?
No, in both instances, the checks were around 2,000 or $2,500.
Okay.
And how they say this scam works is you get the check, you deposit it, you buy the equipment, and then the
Yeah.
difference will balance out once you pay. So let's say the equipment
Right, but
costs
then a couple
800. Yeah,
days later, you find out that that check was not good, and so now you're
correct.
out the $2,000 because 'cause you've already went and bought this equipment
Plus
and all of
whatever
that
other
stuff.
charges they make on your card too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Um, have you heard that, there have been any of these people that have had their accounts taken over? I'm sure the credit cards were compromised, but,
Mhm.
where their actual accounts, financial accounts were taken over?
Financial accounts, I've seen that happen before, but more prominently, I see hijack profiles on LinkedIn and also Facebook/Meta, where people
Mhm.
will hack the credentials and then take over the profile and then start making messages to the contacts,
Yep,
pretending to be that person to con
yep.
them.
Mhm.
One instance was a woman, she's a college student, and she had her Facebook account hacked, and they were sending messages claiming to be selling Taylor Swift tickets, playing
Ah,
on a popular artist to
yep,
get people to listen and stuff.
right.
And one woman I helped get access back to her Meta account that was banned. She was hacked, and they were trying to con her connections. And she's a business owner. She owns a winery and
Oh,
a
wow.
cow farm, I believe. I forget the state she's in,
Uh-huh.
but she reached out to me because she heard about my work, and I reached out to some people in Meta, worked behind the scenes to get her account back so she could continue to do business. But those are the kind of things that happen. And scammers, they know that typically because of my work, the fake profiles don't perform as well anymore. So they're leaning more into taking over real accounts that are dormant and have the verification
Okay.
mark and also pay for premium. And so that's the way they're trying to advance their scamming.
So that they pay for premium, like with LinkedIn, right? You can pay for premium and it tells you, because I get those, notifications, every now and then that says, "Hey, 20 people checked out your profile,
Yeah.
reactivate your premium," and you can see who it was, and I haven't
Mhm.
done it, but, it's pretty pricey, to reactivate it, but, why would a scammer be looking for someone that's got the premium? Is it because they have more their account is able to do more things, see more things,
Correct. You have more. Yeah, you have extended reach. You have more messages that you're able to send because with a base account, I think you can only send about 30 or 40 messages per week. But with a
Oh, the
premium account,
premium,
I
you
think
can
it's
have
like
like
200 or
200.
more.
Right. Yeah. Like a
Correct.
day
Yeah.
or something like
And
that.
you have more. Yeah, correct. And you can send more connection requests as well. But it also comes with the authority that people view when they see premium. Because if you're paying to have this extended reach, you must be a real professional because who would pay
Hmm.
for something and use it through fraudulent means?
Right.
And that's how scammers operate. Because if you con one person and they have marginal credit, what I say,
Right.
you can get a credit card for $300 or more if you steal their identity. So that fee is just a negligible cost.
Right. You get somebody that has the higher credit scores,
Hmm.
then you're more apt to get a higher credit limit, even with impersonating them. And that's interesting because TransUnion just had
Yeah.
a breach. And there was a lot of personal information stolen with that, and I would imagine credit scores are part of it, right? Yeah.
Correct, and they target people with certain job titles like executive, or they'll pretend to
Mhm.
have certain job titles like VP and whatnot. And speaking of TransUnion, a common scam that I've seen over the past year is they'll have fake jobs posted on LinkedIn that lead
Mhm.
to a Google site, and the Google site form will have this fake application. But part of the application process is paying $29.99 for a background check through
Okay.
TransUnion,
Okay.
but it's a way to get your credit card information because a background check only happens after you've gotten an offer officially,
Well,
and
right.
then you have the background check, and you
Right.
never are supposed to pay for that.
Right. And that all makes sense. And but whether someone is in a dire need for a job, right? Like financially, they're running out of
Mhm,
funds. They need to have a job to be able to live and get their basic needs.
mhm.
Their emotions then are like, "Oh my god, this is the perfect job, and they must really like me. They want me to do a background check. Sure, I'll pay 30, 29.99," and their emotions take over. And
They
so
say
they're not.
that in the language. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and so they're not thinking rationally, right? They get
Yeah,
them
yeah.
into an emotional state, whatever it is. Another, it could be like, this is the perfect job, but you need to act now. We've got 10 people behind you waiting in line, and
Yeah.
if you don't act in the next 24 hours. So they have a lot of the kind of same
Mhm.
scam techniques that you see in a wide variety of scams.
Yeah, and they say that on the Google site forms that I've seen. They say in order to be considered as a candidate or an applicant, you have to do this payment portion of it. And that's a way to like force the issue with you.
Mhm.
But if you take a step back, because a way to counter this is to slow things down, I tell people
Yep.
to take executive power over their job
Mhm.
search, because just because you're out of work, it doesn't mean you've lost your value. You only lost your job.
Mhm.
And when you're put in this position of what I call layoff PTSD, because it's traumatic, you're thinking about
It
all the
is.
people you're responsible for and
Mhm.
how you're going to provide for them, and you see how bad the job market is, then you're like jumping at everything that seems real. But if you step back and you ask yourself, well, why is this position so fast tracked when I see countless, if not millions, of other people saying it's taking them 12 months or longer to find a job? What is it? Where is this oasis, and why did it find me? And that's how you can like step outside
Right.
of yourself and see that it's not real.
Right. And that's we created a couple years ago, it's called an anatomy of a scam, because we
Yeah.
found when we were doing these presentations that we would talk about like the top 5 scams that are targeting the seniors. But the minute
Mhm.
you leave, right, there's 3 new scams out there. You wake up the next day and, they've taken like the pig butchering, they've taken some investment um, scams and some of the
Mhm.
techniques from the romance scam and put them together and
Mhm.
came up with this new scam. So we created this anatomy of a scam, which really breaks scams down into 3 parts. And the first one is they have to contact you, right?
Mhm.
Wide variety, and your cell phones are a big way that they're going to contact you. And so
Mhm.
we tell people you got to treat those like a mobile computer. because it is a computer. If, it's attached to the internet, you can message, you can get your emails, you can go into encrypted apps like WhatsApp, you can do your social
Hmm.
media profiles in
Hmm.
there, you can message through those social media profiles, getting the phone calls, a whole bunch of, different ways to contact you. So you have to treat it like a mobile computer and lock it down like you would your iPad or your laptop or your desktop. Um, and the second part is that creating that compelling reason to act. And this is where we
Hmm.
say, if you can cut it off at the contact, then
Hmm.
you've you're not moving into that second phase, which is the emotional phase, which, with one of the tips, we say, be aware of your emotions. And it's
Hmm.
like, I get it. If they got you in that emotional state, it's hard for you to then think rationally and go, wait, I need to be aware of my emotions, right? Which is why
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
always need to have somebody to talk to before you act on anything. Because sometimes just saying the situation out loud, your
Yeah.
mind flips over and you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense, right? Um,
That's what I tell people too. I say read the email out loud because
yes.
it's a psychological thing. Because when you're
Hmm.
reading something, but it's in your mind, you're already accepting the information. But when you're
Right.
verbally saying it, it's external,
It's
and so you haven't
it's
fully
different.
accepted it. Yeah,
Right,
and you
which is like
process it, and then you're
talking
like,
to your trusted person, right? That
yeah. Mhm.
they're gonna realize it's a scam because, they're not emotional about it. They're not emotionally vested in it like you are. And they're gonna
Mhm.
start asking you questions and you're gonna answer the questions. And then through that back and forth, psychologically, your mind flips and you're like, okay, now I get it. Right.
Yeah, and then another common tactic regarding the anatomy of a scam is the uneven exchange of information. And
Mhm,
so you look and you get this email because I get emails all the time about exciting writing opportunities,
mhm,
but I know the verbiage, I know how they present it, so I know it's fake even from the title of the email. But the common hallmark is you're giving all this information, you're divulging so much, and you know next to nothing about this person. They'll go as far as use somebody else's picture, use
mhm.
detailed
Yeah,
signatures, and even link
absolutely.
to real LinkedIn profiles.
Yep.
But really, what do you know about this person other than the fact that they contacted you about an email, or they contacted you about
Right.
a prescription, or they contacted you about vulnerability that leads to one of your accounts being compromised and they can help
Right.
you get it back? But it's like, who is this person? Where are they actually working? Like, don't take anything at face value.
Right. And it's unfortunate, right? Especially with the older adult population, telling them that you can't trust anything anymore. That's
Yeah.
heart-wrenching. And I'm in that population. So we grew up trusting people. We would meet somebody and we trusted them. And 99.9% of the time, you were good to go because the world was just so much different in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And
Leaving your
it's like,
door unlocked
so
at night. Yeah.
yeah, you left your car unlocked in the driveway, your house, "Oh, I forgot to lock the door." "Oh, who it's fine," nobody's gonna break in, and 99.9% of the time, that was accurate, and then telling this population that you can't trust anybody anymore until they've earned your trust, you
Mhm.
verified what's going on, right? And it's devastating. That they have
Yeah.
to
This. Yeah.
change their whole way of life.
This is why I tell people to stay vigilant, because there's a difference between vigilance and paranoia. Paranoia is I
Yes.
can't trust anybody. What do I do? And vigilance is I shouldn't trust anybody. Here's what
Mhm.
I do. And so it's
Yeah,
providing you actionable information and giving
right,
you the power that you think you lost, because that's
right.
what happens is when you get older, you think like you're more susceptible to things. People take advantage of the elderly because they think
Mhm.
they're easier targets. And
Right.
if you have mental issues like dementia and whatnot, then that does
That just
compromise
adds
you.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah,
But
and so
reaffirm
and
yeah.
like you said, we don't stop at just saying you can't trust anybody anymore.
Mhm.
You need to verify what's going on, and
Mhm.
then they can earn your trust, but you have to verify that they are legitimate, they are who they say they are, the situation is accurate, you verified it through legitimate channels. So I was gonna ask you, with this artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
is there like an app or something, and I just thought of this out of the blue, that somebody could like upload a picture to it, and it would come back and say, no, this is the actual picture, or this has been um, this has been altered through artificial intelligence, or the same with like a voice recording, or throwing an email into it. Is there, I mean, I don't even know if that can be done.
Well, there's currently reverse image searching. And so
Right.
that's a way that I find a lot of these fake profiles that steal people's pictures
Hmm.
because these scammers, they'll go as far as using face swap technology, which I've revealed in my different cases. They'll
Wow.
use
Okay.
age filters. So they'll make a picture
Right.
older or they'll make it younger to throw off any reverse image detection. But I find those. And typically, what you do is you open the picture in a new tab, right click it, and then click Google Visual Search or Google Image Search, and it'll give you whatever results or wherever else this picture appeared. So, like, let's say the profile on LinkedIn, if you're an older person looking for a job, and
Hmm.
the person's name is Jane Thompson, but
Yeah.
then because they use generic American sounding names to try to get
Hmm.
trust that way.
Right.
But if you Google that image and then you see Jane Thompson, Kate Owens, and other names like 30 or 40 pictures,
All the same pictures.
correct. You
Yeah.
have evidence there of a fake profile that's been used many times. And then typically it leads you to a stock photo because if it's used that many times, it's typically a stock photo
Okay.
or a picture of some professional from years ago because they'll go back in time and take a picture from years ago of somebody so they can avoid the current person finding out.
Okay. Um, does that Google image search, does it actually tell you which is the actual legitimate picture? That you know you might have all of these same pictures, but it
Mhm.
actually, this legitimate picture belongs to this person.
It can if it's not heavily used. Like
Okay.
I give it like a 75 to 80% accuracy rate because there are
Okay.
different other methods that I use to find different pictures because it's not just that Google image search because there are a lot of times where I know a picture is fake, but Google image search will give you no results. But I always say like if you have to even go through that route, I would just discontinue engaging altogether
Yeah.
because in a job search, you may miss real opportunities by being vigilant, but it's better to err on the side of caution and to be
Right.
like, no, it's okay. I'll just go along with it and then have your savings drained.
Well, exactly, right? That's, you don't want and I've actually talked to seniors. This one lady in particular, a few years back, she had received an email. It was the tech support refund scam, and they were impersonating one of the larger companies, and she had actually had antivirus software with that company
Yeah.
legitimately,
Mhm.
but she thought she had canceled it, and so she immediately thought it was real and called the phone number in the email. and
Yeah.
they said, well, we already took the money, so let's put it back in your account. And too many zeros, and they're going to get in trouble. They're going to get
Yeah.
fired. And so she went and got the money, and they're, I think, did it online, maybe, I'm not sure how it was, and gave it back to them. But then they
Mhm.
were able to access her home equity line of credit, and they
Yeah. Yeah.
they they maxed it out. And so she lost even more money, but yet she's having to pay this back every month on some money she never got. So
Yeah, it's
it's,
terrible
yes.
because they're playing on the fear of losing your information security by saying that you were charged a charge that was not authorized, and then
Mhm.
they double the legitimacy by using a company you're actually affiliated with or were affiliated with. And
Right.
from there, they get you on the phone. They say they need to remote into your computer.
Yep.
They'll walk you through this mirrored or entirely fake website. And then
Mhm.
they'll say, if you just download this product, and typically it's AnyDesk that they use, and
Mhm.
you give them access to remote in, and then they'll use like a screen blocker, but you can't see it. So they'll have you type in
Yeah.
this information, but you don't know that they actually typed in the extra zero. And because you
Yeah.
think you did it, you feel bad. So that's the negative feeling,
Right.
and they're like, "No, I'm gonna get fired," and
Yep.
they do all that to play on your
Yeah.
heartstrings. Then you go to your bank, and take out some money, send it through Western Union or Wise or any
Right.
other,
Some quick way, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And then by the time you realize what happened, it's too late.
It's too late, right? The money, because the wiring, the Western Union, it's instant, right? And,
And then, yeah,
there's
there's no, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say there's, in Western unions, they have the signs and their tellers might suspect that they're being scammed and they'll ask questions, and same thing with banks, right? The banks are getting really good at teaching their employees on how to recognize scams and questions to ask.
Mhm.
But this lady in particular that I talked to, she said the bank tell she knew I was being scammed and asked me questions. She goes, "But I flat out lied because the scammer kept her in that emotional state and told her that the teller was going to be asking these questions, suspecting it's a scam. Just tell her this and or tell the teller this, and then we'll be able to finish the transaction." So yeah, it's crazy. And so our whole thing is to get them to recognize at the contact, right? That they need
Yeah,
to, like you
with
said,
the yeah.
pause and stop and
Mhm.
research and investigate and verify what's going on, before they act on anything. Because once you flip over into that emotional state, it becomes so much harder to think rationally and determine it's a scam.
Correct. Yeah, it's financial abuse. It's just like domestic abuse, where somebody
Mhm.
gets into your life and they slowly isolate you. And that's what the scammers do. They isolate you from your real help. And so in
Mhm.
that scenario, they're saying, like, oh, the teller is incompetent. They're sowing seeds of distrust in the actual people you should trust. So if
Right.
they're asking these questions, they paint it like, oh, they're just being overly cautious. I'm
Mhm.
legitimate. How else would I know you had, this antivirus company? How else would I know this if I wasn't legitimate? And so they put you mentally on their side, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. That's a good word for it. It's disgusting. So, um, you mentioned the Google image search and stuff like that. Are there any other, like, tech savvy detection skills, that you I don't know, that you, I know you said you were on NBC News and Yahoo News and, um, so any other, like,
Mhm.
tech savvy detection skills that you have that you use to help people, um, or maybe that you talk about when you get the information out about what you do?
Sure. Anytime I discover someone who has been impersonated or someone who has had their likeness or image taken, I'll reach out to that person and say, hey, this profile is impersonating you. Here's the link to it. Here are screenshots of it. If I see emails that are being used, but they aren't affiliated with a real person at all, I'll send those to them. I've gotten emails taken down through takedown requests. I've gotten a couple of websites taken down through takedown requests. There was a Calendly scam involving artisan talent for some time. It's still ongoing, but I'm still working on that one, where a scammer pretends to be a real artisan talent recruiter,
Celebrity, right?
but
Mhm.
they're no, not a
Celebrity or
celebrity per se.
oh,
No,
okay.
Artisan Talent is a recruitment firm, and
Oh, okay.
basically they're pretending to, yeah, they're pretending to be a recruiter that works for that firm and emailing people about job opportunities at major
Got it.
companies
Okay.
to make it sound attractive, but really they're impersonating her entirely to scam people out of their
Yeah.
information. So I'll share that with the people. I'll let them know how to report different things, where to find the link to the fake profile, and then I'll also file a case with LinkedIn.
Okay. Um, so I know there's a lot of fake profiles on Facebook and
Yeah.
Meta. We've actually reported, when we see them and we know they're fake, we report them, but we inevitably get the
We found
response
nothing
back,
wrong.
"We found nothing wrong. It doesn't violate our community standards, and so we're not
Of
gonna
course
take them
not.
down." And it's like, but I think it's their technology that's automatically going through and looking at the profile, and they haven't broken any community standards because the technology that they're using only goes so far. So a good example is in at the end of August, we had our company, Rose's Facebook page went down and my personal page went down. And I'm like, "What's going on?" I haven't done anything. On my personal page, the majority of what I do is share posts from Rose. But
Mhm.
because we're in the scam prevention business,
Mhm.
Rose puts out, probably 4 to 5 times a week, we post, and it's information about, helpful tips or about new data breaches and hacks, or new scam alerts and stuff like that. And so the technology is picking up on specific words that they see, and
Yeah.
then they're automatically assuming that we're violating community standards because they see these words in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's
And it
insane.
yeah, and then it's like when you appeal it, it goes to an actual person, and then I get the response back, "Well, our technology made a mistake." And it's like, do you think
No.
maybe you should, before you take someone's profile down, you should have a real person look at what the technology came up with and actually look at the profile?
Well, this is the problem with the AI and all the layoffs is like you're wholly handing over the business to AI, but yet you openly admit that it's making all of these obvious mistakes that it supposedly should correct. Because if you trust in it enough to let go of real humans, then why is it punishing real humans? And I said this in relation to LinkedIn. I'd say the reporting process, its focus is on content, but not intent. And so what
Okay.
I mean is like, a knife can cut a cake or it can cut a person. It's about the intent. And so these reporting metrics of this AI, what it does is it looks at the content of, in this example, a job description.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at job description as it's written, of course, there's no violation. They're not using any foul language. They're not insulting, doing anything like that. But the intent of this job description is to lead you to, like I said before, that payment portal,
The
which
f
steals your
Right?
credit card information. The
Mhm.
job was posted by a fake profile, which is identity theft right there.
Right.
The business doesn't exist, or it was a website that was quickly thrown together. So the business is not real. All of those intentional actions are meant to harm you. But if
Right.
you're just looking at content, of course, you're not going to
It's
find something wrong.
Well, and see, that's the thing is, like, AI is, and I don't know a lot about AI, and I'm not a app developer and, in the technology, end of it, but, it seems to me that AI is only as good as what people are
The
prompting it,
programmer.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and what people are putting into it. So, where you can think in certain instances that AI can detect the outcome, the true outcome, without human intervention, I think somebody has missed the mark on that, because you're missing, you're missing the human component to it. Like you said, with a knife, right? It can cut a
Mhm.
person and it can cut the cake. And if you're looking at the content, nothing's wrong. But if it's cutting a person, obviously that's wrong, right? The
Correct. Yeah.
intent. So,
And it's a shame because, you talk about their technology and having the ability to change it, but they have 16 billion reasons not to. I mean, we saw the report that just came out about the
mhm,
scam ads, and they made 16 billion from that. So, you have to look at where the money is going. And so, if the money is going here and where it's going is to the denigration and the hurt of real people, well, then you have a decision to make at that point. It's either, like I say, all money isn't good money. So, are you going to take this money and allow the people to fall by the wayside, or are you
right.
going to forego that and
Yeah.
protect the people?
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I was trying to work through, it took me probably a month or 6 weeks to get my personal account back up.
Exactly.
Um,
And that's
and
money loss, reputation damage. Like,
Well, right, and, I was very honest with our supporters and stuff. I'd put it in the newsletters and say, "The Facebook got taken down. I don't know why. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to get it back up. We haven't done anything wrong." Um And it was, they took 3 of the pictures down because they said it violated their cybersecurity community standards, and when I appealed it, they, of course, like I said, came back and said, "Well, we've determined our technology made a mistake." Right? And then
that's
as
evidence
soon as
right there. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
But go on,
like,
I'm sorry.
and then as soon as it came back up, like a week later, it was like they're taking a few more pictures down. It's like, how do I get in touch with somebody over there and say to them, "People, this is what we do." And if you had somebody look up what we do, look at our website. It's a valid website. We own it. right? It's we own this, Facebook and LinkedIn account, and it's legitimate, right? It's scam prevention. So yes, we're going to
Mhm.
have the word scams. We're going to have the word breach, hacked. We're going to have all that stuff in our post. But I
Yeah,
can't
but
get a
like I
hold of
yeah.
anybody over there and get them to, I don't know, somehow flag our account to say, listen, if your technology is going to take this account down, you need to have a human intervene and look at it.
Like I like I said earlier, it's insane, and the reason I said evidence is because the AI, or the automated detection systems, as it's referred to, is anytime a report is made, they're going to err on this could be real. Let's take it down. But then when you appeal it, oh, it could be it's real now, so we'll put it back. So that means there's no review happening, because if a real human looked at it, there would be no way that this
Right.
would just be automatically taken down.
Right.
Then the bad side about that reporting thing is when you get reported, now all of a sudden you're on the radar for wrong reasons, and then other things come down by just because you were flagged. And
Yeah.
it's a shame because it hurts real people, but the scammers can continue to operate unchecked. And
Hmm.
it's not much different on LinkedIn. Like there are certain words that get flagged. Like if you call a scammer, the bubble will come up that says when you try to post a comment, are you sure you want to post this comment because it's been flagged previously by members of the community? If you say the
Yeah.
word idiot, if you if you use the phrase
Yes.
pig
Yeah.
butchering,
Yeah.
like that gets flagged because it's thought to be like harmful. But at the
Hmm.
same time, people can openly put the phrase LinkedIn accounts for sale, LinkedIn account leasing, buy LinkedIn accounts,
And it's
and the
fine.
list goes on and on.
Hmm.
And these are clear violations. You're not supposed to sell your account. You're not
Right.
supposed to lease it. And that stuff just goes on
Yeah.
unchecked.
Well, because each one of those words by themselves are not harmful. But a
But
few of the other words
the
by themselves can be looked at as harmful, but they're not looking at the whole context of it, right? Um, and it's interesting. You said, err on the side of caution, take the profile down until you can review it, and then if it's valid, put it back up. On the You would think the same thing would work for the ads side of it, right? Even though they're paying money and buying ads, if the technology finds this stuff, take it down and err on the side of caution, review it, and then bring it back up. But like you said, it's where you said 16 million or $1 billion just came out that
billion
they're
with a
making.
B.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's hard to err on the side of caution when the money is so good.
Right. I often say the two things that get people into trouble are money and power.
They
It
aren't bad, but it's when you
No, they're
get
not bad,
yeah,
but they make some people think it's okay to do things they normally wouldn't do because
yeah.
of power and then the money, right? I have this power, I'm not gonna get in trouble, and I'm gonna make all this money. So,
Yeah,
it's
like
interesting. I'm not saying the social media profiles are doing that. I'm just saying in general. Um, but
yeah, for the people that misuse power and misuse money, it's because before they had both, they were already that kind of person. And so now that
yeah,
they have the ability to act and
it just
fund their
enhances.
nature,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes them be who they
Yeah.
were already.
Yeah, their moral compass points south.
Yeah.
What I like to say. But, we've only got about 5 minutes left, and well, actually, you and I only have, excuse me, a couple minutes left, but, what are some things that people can do, um, if they're out there looking for a job and
Hmm.
they're, looking, whether it's somebody posting on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, what are some initial things that people can do to sort of verify, what's going on?
Always check with people that you know, like loved ones. If you're an elderly person looking for work, or just in general, you get a message, reach out to your nieces, nephews, younger people, or people within your orbit and ask questions like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Because
Mhm.
the process needs to be slowed down. The minute you're going
Yep.
rapidly, that's when you're in trouble. So always ask people external and outside of you what's going on. What do you think of this? And usually if they're like in the know, they'll be like, hey, I think you should avoid that.
Mhm.
Second, reach out to me. I have a website. It's theprofiler.org. I have a ton of information there, my cases and different resources to help you stay safe. And take more control and more power over your job search if that's what you're doing as an older professional, and more control over your information. Visit different websites that are reputable,
Mhm.
that post about scam content like yours and others, because it's just a time of mass bombardment, mass scamming. I call it the age of chaos. And in that time, what you have to do is first slow down, reach out to the people that you're trusted, reach out to me,
Right.
reach out to Joyce.
Those
And
are our first two tips.
yeah, yeah. First, to reach out to Joyce and
Yeah.
myself. Reach out to people in your network, ask questions, and step outside of you. But and I say the biggest takeaway is admit that you don't know everything, because when you're an older person, like, you have wisdom and things like that, but there's still blind spots.
Mhm.
So admit that you might be in the road or down the road of being taken advantage of. And if you were scammed, share your story, because it's no knock against you for being scammed. There's this stigma that happens when people are scammed, that you're thought to be, not smart, but
Yeah,
anybody
it's
can be
totally
scammed
not
at
the
any time.
case.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so share your stories. The more people know, the more people know how to avoid things. And that will help bolster this community.
And one of the things is, what do you think if like, say they found a job on LinkedIn, whoever
Mhm.
it is, it could be a 20-year-old, it could be an 80-year-old. They found a job on LinkedIn. And if they typed into their internet browser, whatever the job is, and said,
Mhm.
put scam or fraud after it,
Mhm.
there's probably a good chance something would come up where someone else has found it to be a fraud or scam and they've reported it. And I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's another viable resource for someone to do, just to kind of see what information's out there?
Correct. Yeah, there are different sites like Reddit and Glassdoor. If you just type in the company name and then scam, typically what you'll find are a bunch of firsthand accounts from other people who have had experiences with this company. It'll also show you whether or not there are different name iterations of this business, quote unquote, because what
Okay.
scammers typically do is they change the business name multiple times, but keep running the same scam
Yeah.
because it works. So yeah, it'll definitely give you a leg up and more information.
Okay. Yeah, because they'll change the name just a little bit.
Yeah, it
Where
always has
to
solutions or private limited or
Mhm.
global enterprise solutions. Like, it's
Right.
grandiose titles, but there's
Right.
nothing behind it.
They'll keep if there's a 1 or 2 words in the name of a company that people, that's popular with people
Mhm.
to know the company, they'll keep those, but they'll change the other words to so people will see those too and go, "Okay, yeah, that must be that company."
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you, Jace, so much for all this information. I think it helps, like I said, not only the newly the new people, 18, 20, 22 years old getting into the workforce, but it's going to help everybody all the way up and through into the retirement ages, that are looking for work as well. So really appreciate your information. Your website is profiler.org. Is that correct? Oh, you froze a little bit, I think. It's profiler.org.
Theprofiler.org.
It's what?
Profiler.org.
Okay, profiler.org. Okay, very good.
Theprofiler.org.
Oh, theprofiler.org. Sorry, theprofiler.org. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
I need to wrap it up here, or Juan's going to be messaging me in the chat. So thanks
Okay.
again, Jay. Love to have you back sometime in the future for another chat.
Awesome.
But thank you for your information. All
I'd
right.
love to be back, and thank you for having me.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, everyone, that's it. We're out of time. Don't forget to go to the website, roseadvocacy.org, and sign up for our newsletters and subscribe to our YouTube channel and this radio show so you don't miss an episode. Thank you. Until next week.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.